In previous lecture, we have seen atomic operations on file access system calls, right? We have seen appending to a file, we have seen pread, write functions, creating a file, etc. Now let's see do to function. Over here, you can see the syntax written for duplicate 2. So what does this do? In this function, F2 file descriptor 2 argument is a new file descriptor value specified. If FD2 is open, then it is first closed. If FD is equal to FD2, and then loop2 returns FD2 without closing it. Otherwise, the FD close exclusive execution file descriptor flag is cleared for file descriptor 2 so that it left open, then the process calls execution. Okay, so with function control, we can duplicate a descriptor. Okay, so do to FD2 is equivalent to close FD2. Okay. The difference is do2 is an atomic operation. Alternate form has two function calls. In the latter case, possible to have single catcher called between close and function control, modifying the file descriptors. If a different thread changes the file descriptors, similar problem occurs. So there are some error number differences between do2 and function control. Now let's see sync, file sync, fdata sync function. The Unix system traditionally implements has buffer cache, page cache in the kernel through which disk input output passes. So delay write, when data is written to a file, kernel copies the data normally into one of its buffer as well as queued for writing to a disk at later time. Eventually, kernel writes all the delayed data blocks to disk when it requires to reuse the buffer for another. Or file data sync function ensures the file system's consistency on disk with buffer cache contains. Okay. So these are the syntax, how it can be used. Okay. For sync function, for writing, queues all the modified block buffers and returns for the disk writes to take place. It does not wait. Normally for a system daemon called update, sync is called periodically, usually each 30 seconds. Guarantees kernel blocks buffer regular flushing. The sync one also calls the sync function. Then fsync, it applies on a single file specified by the file descriptor as fd, as well as waits for completing disk writes before returning. So fsync is used for an application like a database which requires to ensure the modified blocks have been written to the disk. Fsync updates file attributes synchronously. Then fdata sync. It is same as fsync. It affects only the file data portion. Then function control. Function control can change the properties of file which is already open. The function control is used for 5 different purposes. Duplicate an existing file descriptor, to set file descriptor flag, or get file descriptor flag, to get or set file status flag, to get synchronous input output ownership, or even set them. The to set record log or even to get them. So what is fdupfd? Duplicates the file descriptor. Over here, the file descriptor is duplicated. The new file descriptor is the lowest number descriptor which is not already open and is greater or equal to the third argument integer. It is returned as the function value. The new file descriptor has its own file descriptor flag, which is set with flag close execute clear. Then what is fdupfd close execution? It duplicates the file descriptor, sets the fd close execute flag associated with the new descriptor. And then getFD. It returns the file descriptor flag for FD. Only one file descriptor flag is defined currently in this situation. Okay. Then setFD. It sets file descriptor flag for FD. The third argument, new flag value, is set. Some existing program doesn't use constant F close execution. These programs set the flag to 0 or 1 depending on the value. The getFL, it returns the flag status for FD. The flag status is described with the open function. Okay, so read only, write only, read, write, execute, search are separate bits to be tested, having values 0, 1, 2 respectively. These are mutually exclusive, means only one of them is enabled for file. So for first use, the access mode bit is compared with the result of any 5 values. The setFL, it sets the flag status to the third argument value. The only flags that can be changed are append, non-block, synchronous, asynchronous, f-synchronous, asynchronous. These flags can be changed. Okay. To get down, F get ownership. So it gets the process ID, process group ID, currently receives the SIGIO and signature signals. The set owner, it sets the process ID, process group ID to receive signal. The function control returns value depending on the command. All the commands return some value if it is okay. Otherwise, it returns -1 in case of error. There are some special return values as well. For fdupfd, it returns new descriptor file. For getFD, it returns file descriptor flag. For getFL, it returns file status flag. For in get ownership, it returns positive process ID, a negative process group ID.